Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Om Gyantimirandhasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 verse 19. Yo mamevam asammudho janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. O descendant of Bharat, one who is not deluded and who knows me to be Purushottam, the Supreme Person, knows everything and engages wholeheartedly in worship of me. Shri Krishna had stated in the previous verse that he is Purushottam, the Supreme Person. He is superior to Brahman, which is the all-pervading transcendental effulgence, and he is also superior to Paramatma, the super soul which is residing in everyone's heart. Now, in this verse, Krishna says that one who understands this, one who has strong faith that I, Krishna, who is standing in front of you, Arjun, in this battlefield of Kurukshetra, that I am that Supreme Person from whom everything emanates, who is the creator of everything. One who understands this truth, this tattva, he has understood all the knowledge. He now knows everything. There's nothing left for him to know, because this is the perfection of knowledge. And such a person wholeheartedly engages in worshipping me. Krishna had stated in Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, the first verse of that, which is the 8th verse in the 10th chapter, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhav samanvitah, that I am the creator and everything emanates from me. One who knows this engages in my worship with transcendental emotions. Srila Gurudev states in the commentary that because Krishna is transcendental to the living entity and also superior to the other two Akshar Purushas, Brahm and Paramatma, he is famous as Purushottam, the Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to him. Therefore, he is the shelter of both the living entities as well as the Paramatma. So, the Brahman, the Paramatma, they're all manifestations of Shri Krishna, the Supreme Person, and the living entities, all of us, are also his part and parcels. We have manifested from his marginal potency called the Tatastha Shakti. This has been explained in Bhagavad Gita in great detail. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, this Siddhanta, this philosophical truth has been explained, and we have been discussing it in many chapters. The last two times we also discussed this important point that the quality of a worshipper is understood by the excellence of his worshipable deity. So as Krishna had stated towards the end of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in verse 47, he had said, Shraddhavan bhajate yomam saha me yukta tamam ataha, that those bhakti yogis who engage in the worship of Bhagwan with faith are said to be superior to all other types of yogis. So just like superior to Brahm is Paramatma and superior to Paramatma is Bhagwan, even though they are manifestations of the same absolute truth, but still there are gradations. So similarly, the Gyanis who cultivate knowledge of the Brahman, the formless aspect of the absolute truth, superior to such Gyanis are the yogis who meditate on the Paramatma residing within their heart. And superior to the yogis are the devotees who engage in loving devotional service of the Lord. This is being stated by Shri Krishna himself. Therefore, the supremacy of Bhagwan, the worshipable object of devotees, established over all others. In Srimad Bhagavatam also, in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto, it is stated, and this verse we have discussed many times, Ete cha ansh kalaha punsa krishnastu bhagwan swayam, that all these different avatars that I have described are the plenary portions of that supreme person who is Swayam Bhagwan, who himself is Bhagwan, and that supreme, that original personality of Godhead is Shri Krishna. In Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, also it is stated in the Eastern Division that although from the point of view of Tattva there is no difference between the Swarup of Sri Narayan and that of Sri Krishna, from the perspective of Rasa, the Swarup of Sri Krishna is superior. So this is a very important point to understand. Sometimes when we say that something is superior or Krishna is superior, that is not to say that the other forms are inferior. Okay? That is not the point. Because Tattvataha, that means in essence they are all the same. Whether it is Shri Krishna, Shri Ram, Shri Nisingha, Kurma, Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu. In essence, in Tattva, Tattva means they are all Vishnu Tattva. But they are not equal in the sense they are all manifested from one Supreme. So that one Supreme is the original. And he is Akhil Rasamrit Sindhu. That means he is the ocean of all the transcendental mellows. The various manifestations of his, whether it's Narayan or Vishnu or Sri Ram, even though they are his manifestations and in Tattva same as him, but there is a gradation from the perspective of Rasa, the transcendental mellows. That is why it is said that Shri Krishna is the supreme. We have discussed this example many times before, that the full moon and the moon on the 14th day, the 13th day, the 12th day, and let's say the second day of the waxing or the waning cycle, all of these moons are the same, yet they are different. Right? Because you only see some portion of the moon on the rest of the days. Only on the full moon day you see the complete moon, and that full moon is the basis of all the other moons that you see. Similarly, Krishna is like that full moon who embodies all the transcendental mellows, all the transcendental qualities, and when that Krishna only manifests those qualities in lesser proportions, then he only is known as Sri Ram, Sri Narayan, Sri Vishnu, Sri Nrisingha, Sri Kurma. So there is a difference from the perspective of Rasa. Siddhanta tataha tu abhede api Sri Shah Krishna Swarupayoho Rasen Utkrishyate Krishna Rupam Esha Rasaha Sthiti. Although according to Siddhanta there is no difference between Sri Krishna and Sri Narayan from the perspective of Ras, Shri Krishna's form is superior. This is the position of Ras. So this point of Rasa or transcendental mellows is important to understand. By understanding, we can free from all doubts related to superior form of the Lord. And that's why Krishna is saying here that one who knows me as a supreme person knows everything. Because to know him is to know that there are these different transcendental mellows. And he is the embodiment of all the transcendental mellows. We can understand this only if we receive this knowledge through the authorized Guru Parampara. Otherwise, we will tend to misunderstand. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada in the commentary states that Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, learning by oral reception. One should actually receive the Vedic message from authorities like Krishna and his representatives. Here Krishna distinguishes everything very nicely, and one should hear from this source. Simply to hear like the hogs is not sufficient. One must be able to understand from the authorities. It is not that one should simply speculate academically. So, another important point to understand, when we read the Vedic scriptures, it is not an academic exercise. It is not simply a case of argument and debate. This is a serious matter. This is for self-realization, to understand who the Supreme Absolute Truth is, and who am I, and what is my relationship with that Supreme, and how can I realize that transcendental relationship. So, if we just get lost in academic arguments related to the Vedic scriptures, then the whole life is wasted in this useless effort. So Srila Swami Maharaj states that one should submissively hear from Bhagavad Gita that these living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who is able to understand this, according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, knows the purpose of the Vedas. No one else knows the purpose of the Vedas. So Krishna again is saying here that one who knows me actually knows the purpose of the Vedas. So if one has read all the Vedic scriptures but has not come to the conclusion that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he has missed the point. His effort, his labor in studying those Vedic scriptures, in fact, is useless. It is just like a person rowing the boat, a boat that is tethered to the shore, tied to the shore. So even if he keeps rowing, he will not make any progress. He will not still go anywhere. He will be still at the shore. So if we are tied to this misconception that I am Brahman, or that the Atma merges with Paramatma, all these concepts of Brahmavad, if you are tied to these misconceptions, then even after reading all the Vedic scriptures, we will not come to the understanding of what the Vedas are trying to establish. So we have to be open-minded, and we have to receive this knowledge from authorized resources who are coming in an authentic Guru Parampara and who have themselves applied it in their life, who have followed the process and who have realization of that Supreme Person. Srila Prabhupada states further that the word bhajati used in this verse is very significant. In many places the word bhajati is expressed in relationship with the service of the Supreme Lord. If a person is engaged in full Krishna consciousness in the devotional service of the Lord, it is to be understood that he has understood all the Vedic knowledge. In the Vaishnav Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the supreme absolute truth. Because bhakti is complete, bhakti is not dependent on any other process. So if one is engaged in bhakti, then he does not have to do any other rituals, any other type of sadhan. Because such a devotee has already come to the perfect process. He is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. That is the process by which Bhagwan can be attained. He has ended all preliminary processes of understanding. But if anyone, after speculating for hundreds of thousands of lives, does not come to the point that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that one has to surrender there, all his speculation for so many years and lives is a useless waste of time. It states in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, verse 8, Dharmaha swanushtitaha punsam vishvaksena kathasu yaha nautpadayat yadi ratim shram evahi kevalam. The occupational activity a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rati means attachment, love. If one does not develop love for the Supreme Lord, then all the other occupational duties, all the other religious rituals or activities that we are doing, they are in fact useless labor. What does that mean? When you work hard, then you should get rewarded for that, right? You should get salary for it. If you do not get anything for your working in your company, then all that work that you have done is in fact useless labor, because you did not get what you were supposed to get. So similarly, if we are engaged in spiritual activities, we are engaged in religion, but still do not develop love for the Lord, then all those activities are useless labor, because the purpose of spiritual life is to develop love and affection for the Supreme Lord. Now there is a very important point that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes in his commentary. So he says that someone may raise the doubt that philosophers will disagree with the meaning that Bhagwan has established. Bhagwan is stating here that he is Purushottam, he is a supreme person, but some philosophers may disagree with this. And in fact, the truth is that most commentators of Bhagavad Gita do not even believe that Sri Krishna is a supreme person. So anticipating all of this, Sri Bhagwan is saying that they argue because they are bewildered by my deluding external energy. Sadhus, however, are not deluded. So Shri Krishna is saying that those who argue that I am not the Supreme Person, they are in fact confused. Their intelligence is bewildered by Maya, the illusory energy. But those who are real devotees, their minds are not deluded. To explain the characteristics of such saintly persons, he is speaking this verse. Here he uses the word asamudhaha. Asamudha means those who are not deluded by the opinions of different persons. Those who know me as Purushottam, the Supreme Person, may not have studied the scriptures, but in fact they know all things, simply because they know the true meaning of all scriptures. So again, very important point Krishna is saying, that it is not necessary that we read all the scriptures. Vedic scriptures are vast. The 4 Vedas, then there are 1100 Upanishads, the 18 Puranas, and each of those Puranas has hundreds and thousands of verses. Same with the Vedas, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of verses. And then the Upanishads, so many Upanishads. Then there are the Vedanta Sutras and the Mahabharata. And then the conclusion of all of this is Srimad Bhagavatam. So, if one is not able to read all the scriptures, which in fact is impossible for our short human life, but if one simply understands that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then in fact he has studied all the scriptures. But if one somehow reads all the scriptures but does not come to this conclusion, then his reading of all those scriptures is meaningless. So he says, those who study all the scriptures and teach them to others without understanding me in this way are deluded and completely foolish. Shri Krishna says to Udhav in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 22, Yasam vyatikarat asit vikalpoho vadatam padam prapte sham dame api eti vadah tam anushamyati. By interaction of my energies, different opinions arise. But for those who have fixed their intelligence on me and controlled their senses, difference of perception disappear, and consequently the very cause for argument is removed. So he's saying that yes, there are different opinions, and this is because of the deluding effect of my energies, especially the external illusory energies. And those who are not devoted to me, their intelligence gets bewildered by these different opinions. And that's the reason a lot of people get confused and they say, oh, the Vedic scriptures are incoherent. They are not consistent in their descriptions. But this is not the case with those who have understood the essence of the Vedic scriptures and whose minds are fixed, whose intelligence is fixed on the Supreme Lord. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that Krishna is saying that those who actually know me as the Supreme Person worship me with every part of their being. Others are not actually worshipping me, although they may seem to be. So we should not just worship Krishna superficially, but from the core of our heart with great humility and faith. And then Krishna will give us the intelligence. Dadami buddhim yogam tam yer mam upayantite. He will give us that buddhi yoga by which we can understand Him, we can attain Him and become free from the material bondage forever. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe, have a very blessed day.
Krishna Krishna Hare